So the question, can these new appointments crack on criminal cartels and restore public confidence? On the spot tonight, I'm joined by someone who must apologize before the night ends, Kira Municipality MP and Opposition Chief Whip, Honorable Semujunganda. Good evening.
Yes, thank you.
I will tell you why I'll apologize in a bit. I'm also joined by a private investigator. You were in actually police for some time, Freddie Egesa. Good evening.
I love saying that I authored a private investigation in this country. Good evening, viewers.
Okay. And we have a security analyst. You have been in the newsroom before. You should be sitting in this chair, I guess. Dr. Tolit Atia. Good evening.
Good evening, viewers.
Welcome on the spot. Now, this is International Women's Day. Honorable Semujunganda is not a new face here, and as such is used to a male sitting in this seat. So the minute he saw me, he said, "What's happening now?" I hope we're not going to discuss things that, you know, are a bit light. So I'd like an apology now to all the women out there.
No, I have nothing against women. I am only surprised they are happy to have only one day in here. So the rest of the day is ours. So I am only sympathetic.
Trust a politician to not give a straight apology. Anyway, we're getting right into it. The reshuffle, well, should I call it reshuffle? Is it firing and hiring, replacements? We do have General Eli Tumwine, who's replaced Lieutenant General Henry Tumukunde for Security Minister. We have Martin Okoth Ochola, who replaces General Kale Kaihura. You will help me there with titles. How do we title Martin Okoth Ochola?
IGP.
IGP, so this is okay. Then we have Brigadier Sabit Mzee, who replaces, of course, Martin Okoth Ochola as Deputy IGP. I'm a bit disappointed at Ugandans who have been mumbling here and there that, or shocked, sort of, that this has happened. Because I was under the impression it was a question of when, not why, for this sort of reshuffle, don't you think?
Yes, I think even when Mr. Museveni made a new cabinet, I think he had made Kaihura a Minister for Defense at one time. There was also a time he was appointing him an army commander when Katumba Amaro was still there, and he was sending Katumba Amaro to the Minister for East African Affairs. The reason we are even discussing it is not because an IGP has been dropped. It's just because it is Kaihura.
Okay.
So Kaihura, any day you'll have a discussion about Kaihura. And it doesn't matter when he's dropped or when he was supposed to have been dropped. So it's been a very controversial figure in police. And people waited for too long. It wasn't happening. So I think when eventually it happened, it took people by surprise. There was time they were waiting for it. It didn't happen.
Yes.
So they were under impression maybe he will not be fired. But eventually he was fired. Tumukunde at the same time, because Tumukunde is usually very powerful. I remember when he was in ISO, and he's not new to this kind of fights, and they were fighting with the Eric Kayanja, because Eric Kayanja was a deputy. Eventually when Mr. Museveni sacked Kaihura, and authored a letter sacking him, I think the family prevailed over Museveni, and the sacking letter was withdrawn. William Pike was still heading New Vision. So Museveni calls a press conference and is asking them to produce the letter they had published. And then he was very angry. But 3 months later, when eventually he sacks Tumukunde, Tumukunde refuses to hand over office.
Okay.
And then Museveni has to send Professor Nsiwambi and Tinyefuza eventually to force Tumukunde to hand over office. So the two characters involved in this, people who are very controversial but very powerful.
Fearless, more
yeah, especially Tumukunde. Yes. So eventually when you sack both of them, it will attract a debate, and doesn't matter when and how. Because if it was Okoth Ochola sacked as a deputy IGP and maybe someone else, maybe we'll have a discussion for half a day, and that's where it will end. So it is just because it is Kaihura who's dropped, and alongside Tumukunde, that we are still discussing this.
Okay, so Freddie, I guess let me pick your mind here. The president, and someone said he can be the be-all and end-all of decision-making in this country. there was so much pressure from the public, as you've said. There was a point where people really expected Kaihura to be dropped, and he wasn't. And I'm thinking at a time like this, perhaps the president is saying, on my terms.
Yes, instead of say, why don't we substitute the word sacking, and then we talk about dropping? Because dropping is a bit fair. You know,
which he introduced in the conversation.
Where is the difference?
Is sacking
because
polite?
These offices are not permanent.
Okay.
You can come in and then you can go.
No.
What does 12 years say? Over 12 years?
Of course, 12 years, whether it's 20 or 30 years or maybe 1 month. Naturally, these are government offices. These are government appointments. You can come in and go.
Yeah, but
it's not a situation of being elected.
But in the armed forces, wherever they are, there is entry and exit, and both of them are ceremonial.
Yes.
So the moment you serve, they will tire you with honor, and then you leave. There will even be a function. The moment that doesn't happen, it is a sacking. Okay,
then maybe before I could go to that, because it's like we are overblowing the situation of saying that he was just got and then thrown through the window.
Wasn't he?
No, I think he was dropped. This is being a
Help us understand what dropping versus sacking is.
Sacking is a situation where you are being accused, and it's like a form of a punishment that you have to leave an office.
Based on
basing on several record. Exactly, because he who sacks you should also mention why he's sacking you. It is almost disciplinary. But if you are being dropped because maybe you have not matched the dynamics of that office of the time, and then in the process you are being replaced. That's how I'm looking at it. Kaihura had served, yes, and at this stage, where he allowed the country to drop into a situation where intelligence kind of had to rot, deteriorated, that the police and the intelligentsia could not handle even the simplest of cases, then maybe the appointing authority could have looked at him and said, no, stand down, so that I can put in some other person and see what happens. Now, that could even have been escalated by the situation that when Tumkunde came in, of course, I look at a situation that Tumkunde came in, in fact, Tumkunde's coming in kind of helped
the dropping stroke sacking.
Exactly. Because it's like he was highlighting and maybe touching into the weaknesses of the Kaihura regime. So in the process, I look at him as a situation that you send you send a guard to kill a thief, then also a thief. Both of them go.
So he had served his purpose. Are we saying he had served his purpose?
I personally look at him as a hero for this time for one reason. I think there's been a lot in police.
Tumkunde being the hero here.
He's a hero to me for the time being, because I believe that he kind of came, because we have been pushing, we have been talking about all this, we have shouted our voices hoarse. Now, when he comes in because of his clout and positioning socially, I think really his torch deemed brightest, and to a certain extent, Kaihura was people realized who Kaihura is, and maybe even the appointing authority. And I think it should come to a time that His Excellency also listens to, has feelers to pick the information from down where he does appoint his people, so that he can kind of take decisions. Because you're looking at a situation whereby the behavior of police, in fact, has worked so much for the opposition.
Kaihura was their best friend. I'm not quite sure what tactics are going to happen now, because I'm told Okoth Oshola is quite a peaceful man.
You don't need to be erratic to run a police station, to run police.
You see, I guess is going to be disappointed. This police is not going to change an inch. In fact, it will be worse than when Kaihura was there.
Is it the system failing the leader? Because in that case, we don't have to blame Kaihura.
You must understand the circumstances under which people are serving. Let me tell you, and for me, I don't blame Kaihura. When Katumba Wamala was appointed IGP, it was a demotion. And that's how the country received it. Yeah. Under Kaihura, the importance of police has grown. You must understand how Museveni works. At any one time, he will use one of the security agencies as the main delivery of service. And under Kaihura, the profile of police went up. Police has been more visible than even the military. And that's why today, if you appointed an IGP, someone will think you have been promoted. When Katumba Wamala went there, it was a demotion. Today, Museveni likes police and he wants police to do his work more than the military. There was a time we were under pressure here from Mayombo, from Tumukunde, when they were heading CMI. They are the ones beating people on the street, one arresting and doing everything else. So police will continue doing the same thing. Don't think that Mosei Sabit has gone there.
So you're saying that the president at all times needs whatever arm to sort of put pressure. He wants a point of pressure at all times.
Yes, he will pick one
and
security agents, and it will be doing his work at any particular time. There was a time it was CMI, then it was military police, then under Kaihura it was police. In fact, the military was working under Kaihura. Each time we are beaten here, Kaihura was commanding the military the same way he commands police. In fact, the first story when I was in Monte I read about Kaihura in Observer was how he had militarized police. He was in South Africa, he called me, he was quarreling, but he never turned back, because the instructions were to go and change police. Police doesn't vote properly, police doesn't do my work. It has been doing his work. So the disappointment that Egesa has under Kaihura is exactly what he went to do there. And I think he's done his work fairly well. So
now we've moved away from actually blaming Kaihura and blaming the system itself or the leader.
Even if they put there Egesa, he will do exactly the same thing that Kaihura is doing.
Let's go to Dr. Tulit. Help me understand this. You're a security analyst. I mean, if the system, first of all, you've talked about militarizing the police, which is a big question for many people, because now they're saying that Brigadier Sabit Mzee looks quiet, but they doubt he's going to be very quiet.
He's going to be more ruthless.
He's going to probably be more ruthless, albeit under, but still ruthless. If say the two were separated, can our police actually function without any force or pressure or whatever from the army?
Thank you. And maybe before I answer that directly, I don't have as much privilege as the Honorable Semuju has in taking on bits of this issue catch blanche the way he's doing. But I would be more interested and probably want the listeners to try to understand one thing. Like all of them have tried to had a take at how do you perceive this? My thinking would be that away from the two characters, I think Semuja has done a good job in trying to characterize the individuals we're discussing. But my thoughts today, I've kept shifting. As a researcher, I try to run around to try to understand what is going on. And for instance, I try to benchmark with the Justice Law Order report of 2015, 2016, which is one of the most recent. And I was baffled. Interestingly, there are about 4 key allegations against the police at the moment, the police outfit and the way it looks like and presents itself. One, it's being accused of corruption.
The usual story.
The other one, it's being accused of a failing tendency to properly investigate cases and complete them. The other is the issues of overlaps, the politics in the police and the police in politics. The last one could be the person of the leaders. Now, Jello's report, the first 3, and I don't know where, like the Honorable Semuju can believe this.
2% is saying, is the success record 2%?
Yes, but look, Jellos is saying that Jellos actually situates Uganda's criminal investigation standard to be the best in East Africa. And that's on record. Jellos report 2015, 2016. Jellos report admits there's corruption in the police, but also states that it's on the decrease. And these are surveys conducted. Now, Jello's report is talking about leadership and shows the interface between the Jello's frontline institutions, that is the court, the DPP, and the police. And they're reporting there is increased cooperation. So, faced with that kind of circumstances, I started looking at this situation and I was asking, are we being taken up by the speculative narrative? Are we trying to benchmark whatever we discuss? But having said all that, what is clear for us now, I think the curtain has fallen. And indeed, General Kehura's curtain has fallen. How do we look into this future? Me, I think Ochola, Brigadier Sabiti have their court cut out. And I'm looking at this more in terms of, in the perspective of modern management or corporate management, because...
Can that really apply? Can we
yes,
apply any rules of corporate management to
I would want to say, I would want to take a shot at it. Because
why doubt that?
But why? Because the circumstances don't change. It's managing people. And if you look at management more, not as a science, but as a practice, because there is a whole lot of experience that they can learn from, unless they choose not to look at it.
But it's the same police asking for money. They want money for training.
If
they
you
want
want
money
to understand,
for...
I was arrested in 2015 with Dr. Vesije. We were on our way to Rukunjiri. And the way we were arrested, we were just dumped on police pickups, and it depended on which direction it was facing. Mine was facing in Bara, that's where I was taken. The one of Dr. Vesije was facing Riantoni, that's where I was driven. The OCCID for Mbarara, and it's a regional, it's a regional police, I think taking care of about 6 to so many districts. He told me in a month they give him 300,000 to investigate all the cases in that region. And he told me on average he has 7 murders a month.
300,000 as salary, or is
that is the operational money to go and investigate cases? You send police officers.
And he just told us we have the best investigative track record.
So you can imagine, he told him, even if you're going to spend all the money on murders, you have 7 murders on average, you have 300,000 to investigate all the cases, but
on murders alone,
they are 7.
Yes.
He says you divide the money. So which case will you ever succeed investigating with just I think 50 or less than 50. Yes. In fact, eventually, they asked him to take me to the Antony from Barara. And he says there is no fuel, so you can sleep in the cells. We'll take you tomorrow, because the only patrol we have has actually taken other people. So the amount of money that was available to police in terms of figures is a lot of money. But that money is not doing police work, because Kayihura was never sent to police to do police work.
What is it doing
crime
instead?
Preventing, Chiboko squad, border. When I was the MP for
Which is security? There wasn't security.
It has nothing to do with security. Okay. When I was the MP for Chadondo East, before the constituency was divided, when I went through, and that's where basically stays in Kasangati. So the work of Kayihura now was, how do we stop the opposition in this area? Collected all borders, bought them new motorcycles, started them poultry farms. And that's why I said the Egesa will extremely be disappointed, because the intention of the president not to build a police to go and investigate cases. It's to build a police force that is capable of stopping the opposition. And that's what Kayihura has been doing. So you're trying to tell me
the entire police is a pressure point just for the opposition?
I mean, look at the equipment that have been availed to them in the last couple of years.
Their defense was, it's for security, which of course is questionable.
If you look at, for example, the anti-riot gear that they have bought, the vehicles, all the necessary equipment, and you look at the CID and what is available. I was in Rugazi. The OCCID for that region, I don't know, is it called the, it's a region that takes care of about 6 districts. He sits in a kitchen. That's where the man sits. And that's the OCCID supposed to investigate cases, because I went there, they had arrested FDC leaders from Kayunga, and they said, no, you go to Rugazi. So he takes care of a very big geographical area, but he sits in the kitchen. He doesn't have an office, no computer. It's like a makeshift. So therefore, the amount of money from 150 billion shilling under Katumba Wamala to now 500, I sat on the committee on Defense and Internal Affairs. And the one thing you need to understand with the way Mr. Museveni works, even when we appropriate the budget in Parliament, releases are going to be sanctioned by him. So you may have a budget of, like Kayihura had, of 580 billion shilling, and the budget performance is going to be about 52%, like it happens in most of the government departments. But because it is Kayihura who was in police, and I guess you need to listen to this, all the money was being released, and Kayihura would return for supplementary, because he's doing political work. And that's why the president said he's a very good candidate.
We need, I guess you're going to defend your position, definitely. We're going to take a short break. You're watching On the Spot. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. It's International Women's Day. So yes, ladies have taken over NTV, and I'm sitting in for Patrick Kamara. We're now joined by a very early bird, David Pulko, who's the former External Security Organization Director General. Actually, I'm told you were not any better than Kayihura in your position. So and we were arguing here, saying that when you're put in a position, do you serve the president? So if he puts you in a role and he says, by all means necessary, that's what you employ?
Well, I think it's important to put records straight, because that's the view of Ibrahim Nganda and my MP for Chira. So I'm trading on dangerous
and some Ugandans.
Yeah, and of course I would understand his position. But I think it's important to know that even if I put him to proof that you show me one single case that I was accused for arresting. If anything, I was arrested by the Prime Minister, Kintu Muzoke, for causing the president to accept, to indirect Odomel to release this man from the CP man, Luchamusi, and one journalist from CBS who had been arrested, Muonge, at the time when there was this strike about VAT strike, for example. So there were elements in government who acted, in a kangaroo way, like we've just seen, excitedly. So those of us who wanted a more sober approach had to prevail on the president and say, look, the intelligence points a different direction. And by doing this, you are inflaming the situation. Even if you must bring the situation down, then you must use lawful means to bring order. That's why it's called law and order. Okay. It's not order and law. So there are such situations which we faced, whether it's ADF attacking us in Impondwe, or it was West Nile Bank front, or it was LRS stepping up, or bombs in town, how we had to confront those challenges. Of course, Ibrahim does not know a single thing about that, but he can be forgiven. But the point I want to make here, because he may not be alone, it could be also others out there in the public. That's why it is very, very important to raise those issues. Now, the issue here is it a sacking? Of course, he has been approved.
Freddie, I guess I gave us a word, dropped.
Well, the point here is that Parliament approved him for his term, and he has not served to the full term of the term you renewed. So what do you call that?
Sacked.
So secondly, when the country was shouting hoarse on this matter, Parliament and Museveni maintain.
That's what we're asking. That what was it? Was he not wanting to give in because of the people? Did he want to prove that he can do it?
You can excuse Museveni, but how do you excuse people's representatives who have power to even censor a minister? They have power to impeach a president. We took away that power and put it in Parliament because they are people's representatives. They have power even to recommend interdiction of a government civil servant. Why it took so long that our Parliament did not serve the people of Uganda better? Are you saying
Parliament did not raise at any point?
They could have raised, but the fact that it's approved and it's endorsed by Parliament, okay? So Parliament should take responsibility as well as the appointing authority. But so that next time we learn better. We need leadership which is accountable to citizens. Now let me come back to the real matter here. When you look at the record, what Kayihura police, three things. One, the context within which he was operating, the appointing authority. His job was cut for him in 2005, because then there is a Besije, there is a what and so forth. So Museveni does not want a lawful opposition. So he criminalizes opposition, which is constitutional. Now, Kayihura's job was he elevated political opposition to a higher level of crime than all other crimes, than murder, that what, and so forth, and really concentrated there. Beating the opposition, making sure they don't organize, and so doing everything humanly possible to undermine the constitution.
Before you got here, Honorable Samijung, and I was actually saying the same thing, and was saying that even if we put whoever we put
so the second
even
thing,
if we put you Paul, that it will still be the same.
Listen, I'm on record. What she doesn't know is that I disagreed with the president twice. One on Congo too, and I had to leave the job. I went to work with UNICEF in Mozambique, and then I became a deputy regional director for UNICEF in Nairobi. He brought me back. Listen, he brought me back. The second time, I disagreed with him on the issue of third term. I spoke in a powerful workshop in Africa, and I was still a DG, sitting DG. And I refused to renew my, I was still a sitting DG. You can ask Rosindanas and so forth. You were not even in PAFO. Were you in PAFO at the time?
I was a journalist.
Excellent. If you were a journalist, then go back to your notes.
I know you had lost that.
I was a director general for external security. He needs to be reminded. Okay, this was 20, is it
2014, 2015?
2 or 3, Chief, PAFO.
Let's not lose the point.
So let me get the point here that, and because of that, I refused to renew my contract. Okay, and therefore decided to opt out. If you remember, I said, "Oh, I'm free at last." Okay, because this collective responsibility thing is out of my shoulders. Okay, because I told the president in Soroti that I'm the wrong person to be in your service, in your intelligence service, when your government is using unconstitutional means to upset a constitutional order. Citizens are coming from Hoima to ask Nasasira why their road in Busuju is not continuing. Busunju. Sorry, I was saying again. So and then there were tear gas midway the journey. Children in Makerere, in Lumumba, were just put on hot water, cannons, just by talking with Agri Awori on third term in Lumumba Quadrangle. I was asking, what crime have they committed? Who made that law? These ugly-looking cops. I was meaning the riot gear police. So you go back to your notes. And the radio picked it, the TV picked it. So I was happy to leave, because then I was told if you resign, he takes offense on you. He takes personally. So I dropped the span in the works. Leave him now to do the rest. He transferred me to Foreign Affairs. When it came time to transfer to London, I said no, give it somebody else. I'm so busy. Okay, and that's my story. But come back now to the issue of appointing authority. I've just told you that even Kaihura's job, first and foremost, that's why you continue saying Kaihura is a cadre of NRM. So it was an extension of channel number 10. So it was not an IGP. In our eyes, he was an IGP. In the eyes of President Museveni, he was not only a homeboy because he grew up from the State House as a military assistant to the president. He was not only a houseboy cleaning the dirt and so forth, but he was also an extension of the few state with the political party. And to that extent, he recruits how many crime preventers? 11 million or so. And you saw them in yellow in Kololo during the launch of the manifesto of the president. And after that, they even refused to transport them back. You saw what happened. And then you ask yourself, with 11 million, why is crime going up? So unfortunately, the Kaihura leadership of the police is dogged with 3 C's. C number 1, crime.
Yes.
Shut up. Because he put resources elsewhere where he ought not to have put. He dismantled special branch. Imagine the investigative arm. Yes. Now, if you look at, he replaced with the crime intelligence. If you see the record, for example, if I was just to give you the record in the what this crime intelligence of his has done, you find that out of the last 4 years, about 4,500 murder cases committed. Only 100 were successfully investigated and culprits convicted, according to the Deputy Human Resource Boss, Felix Ndiomugenyi. And that's an authority. We
were just talking about that their track record, their success record.
Now, when you come to 2011, for example, out of 1,011 murders, only 17 were investigated conclusively by detectives. 2013, 19 out of 1,034 murder cases. 2014, police registered 943 murder cases, but disposed only 19. While in 2015, only 15 cases were prosecuted, culprits convicted out of 1,068 murders reported. So police failure to stop crime created a wave of insecurity in the country, undermining Museveni's leadership.
Okay.
So let me put that record.
Please
because crime, the first C is crime. The second C is corruption. The showbiz young officers we put there and sacked the experienced people became more of very elegant in the media.
I don't think you can argue corruption, and I told him not to argue the same thing. Corruption has been there time immemorial.
Yeah, but part of his job. Part of his job was to put it down. Yes, we don't mind time immemorial, but when you are there and you're sitting on that job, it's your job to fix it. Did he fix it? So it's still there. Now it was even worse among young officers who are building apartments. Okay, and then what's their salary? You find a helicopter pad in a country home of a police officer. You know, where do they get this money? So you find an officer transferred to CPS is welcomed by thugs and given a second-hand vehicle and then monthly stipend by people who killed the other woman. You know, the car bond there. So these are true African story.
I hear you.
And you find that the DPC was running away from the law when they wanted him in court. And you find police mobilizing citizens to come and interfere with the court process, even whether it was Kadaga being asked to come to court, Kadaga never asked them.
Thank you so much.
So the point I'm making here is that the third C is constitutionalism. The third C is constitutionalism.
Okay.
Now, Kayihura as a neighbor has actually advanced to a situation where Uganda is a constitution without constitutionalism. He flouted it left, right, and center. So will the two people now have been brought fix this?
That's what I was going to.
That's where we shall go next.
Freddie Egesa, obviously, we have said, as passionately as we've put it, that the position is actually working for the president, right? So if that is the position, I mean, this is Okoth Ochola, people have praised him. Said he's a great leader, he will do great things, albeit, of course, he's going into a very bad system.
Fortunately, they are not new kids in the block.
Exactly.
We shall diagnose their record so far.
So based on his record and based on maybe the character, because I think that's what mostly we're working with, Freddie Egesa, do you think he's got a chance to prove himself?
Thank you so much. I'm looking at a situation where the politics of this country is becoming like, you know, like if you are preparing pilau, naturally you have to put spices. You know, if we are to take politics in every bit of what we say, then we shall politicize even the kitchens. We shall politicize marriages. Everything will be politics and politics. Let me look at this as a domestic security analyst. What we are saying is, yes, we are saying that as much as the president had a political mind, he gave instructions to Kayihura to, like if I would say, police is not supporting me, do ABCD. Yes. There is opposition. Handling opposition will not be my problem, but how do you handle them? Now, because I'm only looking at Kayihura's excesses. He was financed. He's fairly trained to know, he's a lawyer, he knows levels of human rights. At what time, I mean, at what level he should go with dealing with the people.
I trust you.
Exactly. I wouldn't say the president telling that beat everybody, crush everybody. He had better ways of even maintaining the NRM image by kind of dealing with opposition in a very sane way. That's why sometimes I've been saying that possibly even the opposition, you know, he has given them a platform, a very big platform internationally, for one reason or the other. Because like you'd see him, if you send young boys to start beating everybody indiscriminately, that means that you are literally fueling the opposition against your own boss. Now, I'm looking at a situation that you have been given all the 600 billion shillings. So you have a good budget.
Yes.
You have been told that please make sure the opposition does not do this. But how do you do it as an officer? Do you crash? Do you get Chiboko squad? Do you tear gas everybody? There are times when I could look at what is being done by the police towards opposition and the resistance they could offer, and I would say there are times when you could, like, if maybe at one time basically said, I'm moving to this location, and the police gives him safe passage.
Who goes to a bank?
I'm telling you, he goes to the bank. You don't, the president will not say,
let them leave.
Exactly. Allow him to walk, even that walking may be it may be tuned down.
Am I getting you right that even if he will keep the same job description, sort of, he might do it in a more peaceful way?
People walk to Nambole. People walk to.
He had all the
bank, as you said, everyone does as they please.
He had all the machinery to kind of open ways for these guys. Let them go and shout their voices hoarse.
But is the opposition ready for a much more peaceful
I think so. I think so. Yes. You know, the opposition. Let me tell you.
You've been used to this for so long. Let me tell you. Are you used to?
Some of them want news.
Exactly.
So excitement and so.
The best way you can
the larger ones
let me tell you. The best way you can deal with opposition is to allow them become a nuisance to the public. Allow them walk. Let the people just make sure the people are safe. When they walk, people don't walk. So the people will hate the opposition, and then eventually it will be a situation when you come in, you'll have a justified coming in. But when before they even leave their homes, you can seize. I mean, kind of besiege the homes, throw them like you're throwing cabbage. These are human beings. These are relatives and brothers. So there is the way Kaihura has been doing things. I think he went into overgear, and I would say, he said, even if the case was appointed IGP,
that you would still have the same job description.
What I'm saying, you don't
can even tell the president.
I think Kaihura was overambitious. He carried too much power on him. He went into overdrive to please His Excellency, to the extent that he literally pushed the politics of NRM into a grey area. So, what am I saying here is, as much as you may take the objectives of your appointing authority, you should do it in a kind of a sane and civilized manner. I
hear you. Before you answer, if opposition is ready,
the trouble, I guess the points he makes are very good points. That's how we want to be handled. But that's not how Museveni wants us handled. You remember how we are picked from Parliament? I am one of those.
So was it not Kaihura going overboard?
It was never Kaihura. This is how Museveni acts. My name was never read. I was the first to be grabbed and strangled. Let me tell you, people who know Museveni will tell you, the moment he sees you being crowed, he will even order for tea. He's going to be very happy. That's how he deals, and that's how.
Like he's watching Arsenal.
That's also where he derives satisfaction. You see, all the points they make.
But you cannot tell me that opposition, who he is going to turn into the same thing.
Again, maybe because I will blame Prukol and Egesa, you may not blame you. If you know how Museveni works, and I am sympathetic to Ochola, I don't even imagine that.
Feel free to bring in the discussion of Sabit Mzee.
Yes, I don't know whether Ochola is going to be in charge of 2% of police. There was time when JJ Odong was the army commander, and all the work was being done by Kazin, who was chief of staff. President Museveni calls Ankole MPs to Rakitura, and Kazola has eaten about this. And he says, I have called you here to teach you how to do politics. When I appointed Kaziwe, did you ever imagine that Kaziwe was the vice president? But they are women, they are Basoga, they are Catholics. I say, this is JJ Odong. And you want to imagine that JJ Odong was the army commander? Said, but it is sort of like paraphernalia. They are in a jeep with many soldiers. So JJ was never the army commander. Ochola is not the IGP. He's just going to be there as a... So the IGP is Sabit Mzee.
But Sabit Mzee is a younger man.
It does not matter. If you know how Museveni works, and Prukol knows, maybe I guess I don't know, but Prukol knows.
I've lived long enough in Uganda.
Yes, that the way Museveni works, and in all the departments of the state, there will be the head of the department, and then he will be speaking to the lowest. So his work is never going to be done by the former officers.
We've seen how.
So the reason you have Ochola now, I think he would not want to just
image as well.
Yeah,
the police image has been terrible.
I mean, if you want to give people satisfaction that yes, the man cares, he wants the senior police officers, he will certainly have one. So he's given you Okoth Ochola, so you can, now it is police. Certainly, of all people, why don't you ask yourself, why is it Mzee, who was commanding PGB, who was in the military police, this is the guy who has gone to head the police?
The loyalty, we can see it, but let me ask, because obviously with Tumukunde's role with Kaihura, they worked in a very ferocious way. They did, and as you said earlier, that Tumukunde was actually to show the bad or the vices of Kaihura. General Eli Tumwine, I'm not sure what to think there. Is it, what kind of placement is that? Because if you're saying that Sabiti is loyalty, so is Eli Tumwine, if I'm not mistaken.
You see, Tumwine and Sabit are two different actors. Because Tumwine historically is senior, there are people naturally who want to give him that respect. But I'm not sure that...
what then becomes, I want to know his role, because there are three people who, these three roles, well, two roles have been working together.
You see, this office, I was arguing with friends, offices to Museveni don't matter. I went to visit Betta Ketch when she was Minister for Security. And she was in office feeding on maize and porridge. So there was no office when Betta Ketch was Minister of State. That's why many people don't even remember she was there as a Minister for Security. The moment Amama Mbavas goes there, that ministry became the most important. And of course, certainly when you have Tumukunde, it will be a very important ministry. I am not sure. The way I know Tumwine, I don't know. Tumwine will not do the things that Mbavas and Tumukunde did when they are in that
Yet he
office.
Says he's a patriot. He will do everything to sacrifice
I have
for his
spoken
country.
to him. He was even telling me once to retire. He's been in Parliament for long. But he's a completely different person. Tumukunde likes, Tumwine wants to be respected. He wants everybody to know that he's a senior. Even when you saw they went for vetting, he had to stand in the middle to show that it is him. So the moment I know him in the military, in
deployment is mostly is what?
In the military, they were calling him. They were calling him was. I remember writing a story when he was trying USG as head of court martial, and he was not happy that USG was stealing the show. He's a suspect. So one time he drove in as if he was going to knock everybody. So Tumwine is an attention seeker.
Okay.
And the moment he's there, I don't see, he will not, you see, these officers, I said, Tumukunde went there to do politics. He didn't go there to do security. And that's why you saw him before elections. He's all over the place. He's flying. He's disturbing Mbavas. He's beating people. So Tumukunde and Kaihura are a different brand.
So what brand is this we're working with?
So
we're working with one who you say will not speak, but will be the actual one.
So this ministry under Tumwine,
yes,
it's not going to be as serious as it has been under Tumukunde and as serious as it was under Mbavas. I think now some other people are going to be assigned. This Muzei is the one who is going to run police, and I can assure you, all what Kaihura has done, Muzei will do. If it requires beating people, taking over parliament, he will do it. What he may not do, and people who serve Museveni like doing these things. These people here, I remember when they ran with Mayombo to KFM, because they were speaking with the USG. He had not been invited. But people who serve Museveni want to please him all the time. Uninvited Purko runs to KFM because it is USG online, and so he must put him...
So you're saying that Brigadier Sabiti will not be part of the Museveni pleasers?
This one...
Yet we've all agreed here that his loyalty is clearly...
People have different way of work.
Okay.
These particular ones are going to be ruthless, beating up everybody without any sign. You will not see photo marks of Muzei Sabit in all this beating. He will be somewhere ordering the beating. That one you can beat. That one you can strangle. Tumukunde Kaihura wanted to do, maybe that's where I guess I blame him. He wanted to do both. He wanted to do the work, but he also wanted to be seen. The way Museveni works, first of all, he's a micromanager. If there is an incident in, and I remember writing about Tumukunde, a bomb goes off in
Chadon.
You must be there if you are the IGP. And of course, I can't do that because professional policemen will want to work through institutions. The moment you begin to work through institutions, you're in trouble with Museveni. And Kaihura had mastered how Museveni works. That's why
man on ground.
He will be there with the cameras. I asked myself, if there is a bomb that has gone on in Kabaragala, why should the IGP be there with the cameras? But he knows that the moment Museveni sees you on NTV is going to be very happy. People who serve Museveni to his satisfaction, and that's why Kaihura has been IGP for nearly 13 years, because he knew what his boss wants. When Nevanda died, we were in the last parliament. Immediately Nevanda died.
I don't know if we'll call agrees. We also have Dr.
He doesn't have to agree, but I can tell you, I can tell you, those who serve Museveni to his satisfaction.
The competence of Eli Tumwine is not in question.
I'll also put my view.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's first hear from Dr. Tolit. Sorry. Yes.
Okay. And very honorably, I will beg to not to really disagree, but cut a bit of the slack in the politics that the Honorable Semuju is bringing to this narrative. I think when we are looking at security, it is important, and we'll call you know this, it calls for a sense of modesty, because security plays, it's a confidence game. There isn't anything else other than confidence. And I'm just trying to imagine the citizens of this country at the moment, the way they feel with this kind of push and pull. And I will dare this. When I look at my crystal glass, I keep thinking, and I'm like, I think there is a chance for these gentlemen who have come in. I will say why. Let me start with the Brigadier Sabiti Mzee. By training, he's a scientist.
Yes.
I would think that he is bringing an element of precision. I know him. He was my contemporary at the university. I know that he's a humble person. He's very methodological in the way he works. And the fact that he has been in the PGB, which has transformed into all these things, one thing that I think he is going to bring to the police, and it's my prayer that the docket or the element of overseeing discipline and corruption should actually be cut out for him. I seem to see that we are going to reap something out of that, because in his personality there is clout, and probably the kind of center that was not holding in the police at the moment can be shaken around. Who is Ochola?
Yeah, because what does his leader bring?
Brings in one, he brings pedigree. He's been in the police. So he brings pedigree. His rise has not been riddled by any scandal. It has not been politicized. So it is fair to say that he has probably meteorically risen. And that brings a bit of respect. It brings a bit of order. So moderately, if it was possible to measure the transformation in the police in the past few days, the way you can measure the stock exchange market, I would dare say that stocks would have risen maybe in the last 2-3 days. Some of you may not agree with this, but I think in modesty. But having said that,
yeah, he's putting his stamp on.
Having said that, I definitely, like any other Ugandan,
yes,
do accept that there is a bit of a job they have to do.
A bit?
Yes, there's a bit of a job they have to do.
He's being modest.
And,
and
for me, this job starts with discipline and ends with discipline.
Yes, Dr. Solis, we're going to take a short break. Is it Eli Tumwine who handed over Director General?
I took over from him.
You took over. So you should be able to perhaps speak on his competence. That's after the break. At
the risk of not disclosing.
Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. In studio, I do have David Pulko, who's the former ISO Director General. External Security Organization, ESO.
Yeah.
In English, we say E.
Oh, okay. In Karimujong.
We also have the Opposition Chief Whip, Semujung, and the Honorable. Welcome. We have Freddie Egesa, you're a private investigator. You're actually in police.
I want to base my history on being the author of private investigation.
No. There you are. And we also have Dr. Tolit Atia, who's a security analyst, who before we broke off, he was actually arguing that perhaps we should give Okoth Ochola a chance, and also Sabit they are not, and see the good that they're bringing to the table more than actually pinch at what negatives are there. David Pulko has been burning to say something, and I hope you're going to tell us about the character of Eli Tumwine.
Not only him, but let me diagnose the three.
Okay.
And I want to begin by saying, citizens, this situation may either go Uganda way, or it may go what my brother Atia is saying, meaning it will become much better, or it's going to be worse, or more of the same, as the Honorable says. And I want to qualify the two views like this. One is, who is Ochola? They say he's got a long nose, which can smell crime from far away. Okay, yes, he's a lawyer by training. He has grown through the ranks of police. He has headed a criminal investigation department before, or deputized, and he's an old hand in police. Maybe could be serving on contract, or is about to retire, or thereabout. So definitely is going to bring the institutional memory, and therefore what policing is in a democracy. And if he's given latitude, if he's given space to apply himself creatively, then we will see something fundamentally different.
And who gives that
but
space?
But of course, that space, no, not the citizens. The citizens, yes. The citizens have to cooperate with him and give him goodwill. Like, for example, now, we don't have to be hostile. The man has not very committed anything yet. So we have to give him the benefit of doubt.
Who ultimately is giving him
at least
that
the
space?
first 100 days. Let's see what comes out of him in the first 100 days. But of course, more is to do with the institution, and also more is to do with the situation we'll have to run with. Because the situation is unfolding, it has gained a certain momentum in terms of crime in the country, and whether we'll have enough time to think through, or we will be confronting, putting off the fires. Now, the second thing...
By the way, we have calls coming through, so I'm not quite sure if they're working.
The second thing, when they come, yes, you stop me.
Do we have someone? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, good evening. How are you?
Fine, how are you?
Your names?
Yeah. Do I want to contribute on the spot shot today?
Yes, quickly.
I'm called Patrick.
Yes, Patrick.
Yes.
What's your contribution, Patrick? Quickly.
Yeah, I wanted to find out. There is a rumor passing. Hello?
We can hear you. What's the rumor? Who's in trouble?
Yeah, they say Sabiti's mother is related to Janet. Is it true?
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Public information is
I think finish your point, yes.
That it is given space, particularly by appointing authority, but also by the unfolding situation on the ground. Like for me, I came into ESO, and two weeks after I was in the chair, ADF attacked in Pondwe, and we had to wrestle with it. By the time you settle down to restructure the institution, and you restructure the institution as you move on, you're building new capabilities as you're going on to confront the institution. Whether the Ochola is going to do that, and secondly, how he's going to handle the big man. Because the big man also, in my situation, had a few incidents like those, where you find you talk to your junior or your deputy, and the deputy or the junior talk to does not disclose to you. So I had to handle it in a clever way by collecting a lot of reports and releasing even money to fund those operations, which they say is from the president. After a short time, when I build my case, then I go now with a file to the president and say, Mr. President, is there any operation that you have authorized in ESO without my knowledge? He says, like what? Then when you tell him and enumerate, he says this one yes, but I was expecting that officer to inform you. This one no, because then they also add their own. So in that case, I said, Mr. President, I'm not here to waste your time. The law is clear. The DG must be in charge. The
environment is
so I sat fully on the chair, and I told the president, I'm not going to allow this to happen. I'm going to handle in the following manner. When I handle them, they will run to you. Please do understand, because I'm the DG. He said, go ahead. Okay. So and then I come in and really do a surgical, and then they discover if I catch you, yes, I may not catch all, but those I catch have to be put in a test tube. You hit and see what gas they are giving. So will Ochola do that?
I'm waiting for you to comment about
the point. Will Ochola do that? Those are the circumstances under which he can do better. But if he is a timid one, like some people say he is, like he has been there with Kaihura, so he's not a new kid. So he also shares in the failings of Kaihura. He was a deputy. It's his collective responsibility. Why didn't you correct your boss? You had all this institutional memory. Why didn't you assert yourself? So was he waiting to be promoted and then he performs?
Yes.
Yeah, that's also another thing. That's why I say let's give him the benefit.
I guess
now let me come back.
Correctable.
Now the issue is this, that you're deputy. Like for example, until you are reminded, you even don't know that Honorable Sekandi is the Vice President of Uganda. you don't know what he does from January to December. You don't know what he does from Monday to Friday. You don't know what he does from 8 o'clock to 5 p.m.
So
every
maybe
day.
This is
Ogola Ochola also like that? Or is he now going to come out of his closet and therefore put his stamp. Let's give him the benefit of doubt. That's why I'm saying it could go the way or if he fails, then it will go this way. Now, who is Sabiti? Homeboy. By homeboy, I mean these are blood relatives of the first family. So he has grown through the ranks. First of all, in the family, cleaning this, being sent for these personal errands and so forth, joined the force. He's a very intelligent officer, very calm. He's a nice personality. I know him personally. He's a very capable officer. I really admire him. Got his first class. He finished his master's. He was going for PhD. He was brought back. So he's really good. He's a star. He's a rising star. But he has also risen with the first son.
I'm worried, Paul. Are you trying to say that we're not going to see fairness?
No. We're going to see fairness. I'm not going to say if he can either bring that discipline, the good personality I've described, the intelligence that I've described, the creativity I know in him, the discipline I know in him, he can actually perform. Okay, better, like that one. But will the appointing authority again? It is contingent upon, okay, what the appointing authority wants. And being a homeboy, do I see him going to confront Mzee the way I used to? To tell the president and say, no, Mzee, on this one is wrong. And then you find after 3 days, the president calls you back and you find he has taken the view you gave him. Although he opposed you in the meeting, but later on you find that he absorbed it. Okay, even when other colleagues were against. So, but do I see him going to confront Mzee with facts like this? You don't see it. I don't see, because first of all, homeboy, he sees him as easy, you know. So, but he has to rise above that if he's to succeed. Okay. Whether he's sacked tomorrow or not. Now, then who is Eli Tumine?
Your friend.
Because the issue now is, if Mzee does not come with the discipline to respect Chola, if he's not promoting teamwork, collegial work, and so forth, if he comes to undermine, or if other people use him to undermine the big man, then the situation will not go his way, but will go worse as a. Now, when you come to Tumine,
which one is Pulkolo's way?
Now, mine I'm saying, I am here equal. At the moment, I'm equal distance.
Equal distance from. Hear your thoughts. We need to hear your
I'm going to give my thoughts. Okay. Now, I've given you already my thought. This analysis. Yes. This analysis. Now, when I come down to Eli Tumine, who is Eli Tumine? I took over from him. He's an army general. He has been army commander. He has been many things, including now distributing medals. Okay. I refused the other day to go and pick mine. Okay, because. And so did
Does he have any ounce of enforcing in him?
The point I want to make is that even in those medals, you look at the criteria. The real heroes of this piece are not getting medals. The kind of people.
Let's move on.
Is he going to be precise? This is the point I'm making. Because when I took over from him, there were certain disturbing things. Because did the service have intelligence about ADF? Some dark, short thing, people seen in a market and a Kasindi port, the other side, and that you don't know who they are. Probably.
You're also saying you inherited a bad system.
I hear you, but then we had to wrestle with it and
to clean it up.
But the point, for example, if he says Mobutu has died and Mobutu has not died, and he has signed it and he's going to the president. So now, Tumine can perform well if he could put more emphasis on details, if he could concentrate on details. He's a big picture person as an artist. But so now the situation demands him to burn his midnight candle and really get to the details. And also, when you find a lot of directorates, 16 directorates, the whole UPDF is only 9. A small service like that one, 16 directorate, transport directorate, I don't know, welfare directorate, they've got directorates. Now, when you get intelligence, raw intelligence coming to him and he sends, and not taking it to analysis, I'm pointing this out because I may not get a chance to talk to him, so that he knows where to go and correct. If he's to go to perform better.
I hear you.
But otherwise, he may perform.
We do have.
He might perform.
You have viewers, so we might as well hear from them. Hello. Hello.
I'm giving both sides.
You are giving both sides. Hello. Yeah. How are you?
Hello.
Yes. How are you?
Yes. I'm Tevajang Elias.
Yes, John.
Okay. Now, what my comment is, what we're seeing right now in the country. Well, it is systemic in nature. Okay? Yes. So unless this regime actually leaves, we are going to receive actually more of the same coming from any party that actually brought on board. Thank you.
All right. Hello? Product. I think John was on your side. Hello? Hello? NTV, hello? NTV, hello?
I'm glad to hear that you have such good brains. I would also listen to David Pulkor and indeed agree with his discussion. The whole thing falls back to the appointing authority. My name is Garissa Richard, discussing from Mukono.
Yes, Richard.
If only the appointing authority can authorize these guys to keep performing within their given institutions, they will perform to the maximum. But if we can keep twisting them like these so-called Bugorogos, do what it feels like that they should do, then we cannot expect anything much better than the guys who have been in the office that have performed before. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Good to hear from you. Do we have somebody else? NTV, hello? NTV, hello?
Hello?
How are you?
Fine, and done.
Good. Your name and your comment or question?
This is Olaktar.
Yes.
I'm calling from Tororo.
Yes.
Yeah, my comment and question is that, Olaktar from Tororo.
Okay.
Thank you very much for hosting those gentlemen.
Well, thank you for watching. What's your comment or question?
My comment, as long as the appointing authority still has interest in leadership, there will be no change.
Okay.
Yeah, so like somebody described my brother Chola, because of his goodness, he will just be smelling crime. But the real person who's going to do it is his deputy. That is all.
Thank you. Oh, all right, we need to continue, but that's three people who are echoing something.
Can I give the positives of Tumine?
I think we know the positives of Tumine, to be honest.
Fine, now
but
can I give then what the situation
we
demands?
need to let the rest also give us, because those are three callers who have echoed something that has been around the table, even if it was not put out clearly, as the callers have said, that the appointing power seems to be the issue. It wasn't so much of Kayura, because I'm actually surprised. I thought the discussion would be Kayura is a bad man. It ended up being Kayura was made a bad man.
It is not possible that you're going to be a bad man and Seven allows you to serve for 12 years.
Unless you're his bad man. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. That's the point.
Okay. So just you seem to nod your head when they said that. So you do agree that the problem perhaps isn't really the police, it's the appointing power. Then when we're looking at solutions for this, we're not really looking at police for solutions.
Allow me I just want to give Honorable Semujo a footnote to just allow him get a little deep in his discussion. Honorable Semujo, you are in the parliament, and Pulkol had raised this, the issue of oversight. The oversight of the police, and I'm sure Egesa can guide us on this, I think sits at three levels at the moment. There is the police council. Do we have a police council?
Yeah.
Is the police council. There is the Minister of Internal Affairs. Then I think there's a third authority, and these should weigh in oversight. But I want to stay with Parliament, particularly because of its veto power, really, so to speak. Now, if you want to draw, if we're to put this into context, in a democratic dispensation, there is an element of engagement. So, the whole thesis that the appointing authority is squarely seated and tying bolts this way and tying bolts that way, are we therefore saying that the space of engagement has been debunked? As an opposition leader, are you saying you've jumped that ship? Is there no more room
you see,
to engage?
Even to organize.
Shouldn't we engage?
Maybe you've been.
Are we giving up, sort of?
Maybe
because you cannot tell me that the appointing power.
Maybe Torit has been away for long. I have done my
What's
part.
on ground?
And
when I was in that parliament, let me tell you.
As an individual, I do.
The first time I was thrown out of that parliament, we had spent a whole week processing a law on public order management. And then the NRM people brought, including those who didn't even know what we were doing on motorcycles, to come and vote. And we said, you're not going to vote. we fought now something that should never have happened. We are not. I mean, yes. I mean, there is nothing to feel good about that.
Although quickly, just to know.
When you are.
You said the opposition, and you're going to come back to your point. You said the opposition or Kaihura's issue or job from the appointing power was really to tighten the noose on the opposition. But are you saying that throughout his over 12 years, the opposition has no hand in this, no part to, you cannot say the blame is one-sided?
If you know how Museveni works, and here I know Protocol does, I am not sure of Torita and
example. I'm constrained. I cannot talk because I don't have to disclose.
So you're not able to comment on that?
Some I can use where it is not
we'll excuse you on this one, you are saying.
So therefore, when you see Kaihura responding in the same way for 12 years, the only time Museveni has praised Kaihura was in regard to the way he had handled the opposition. And he's extremely very happy with the way he has worked. So you can blame him, but that work, according to Museveni, Kaihura did very well. In fact, now
Chiboko squad, Chifesi.
Now,
I thought you said you're not commenting on this.
No, I'm just illustrating only.
Yes, Chiboko, all these things happen. And Museveni was happy with them, and that's why he maintained Kaihura. Even at the time, everybody thought he's not going to renew his contract. Actually, Museveni renewed it. It's just that because now Museveni is under pressure because of the crimes, he must do something, even just for the sake of it. I'm
including
not sure.
So but are you going to have an open mind to work with Okoth Ochola? Because you're already going into it without an open mind. You're already going into it saying the appointing power is already giving a system that's not going to work.
Even in the circumstances,
something here.
Yes.
Even in the circumstances, just
and mind you, gentlemen, we are about to wind up.
Just a second, because I'm sorry.
Yes.
Even Kaihura, who have worked with him, there was time the whole opposition leadership, Dr. Otun, went to meet him. I have personally met Kaihura many times. I have written. But the moment Museveni wants you beaten, it doesn't matter who the beater will be.
The radio station, Kabale.
The guys who came to beat us in Parliament, Kaihura was just the face. He came claiming that I am the one who commanded. Commanded where? You saw SFC taking positions to come and beat us.
So he also wasn't aware you were going to get beaten?
There is nobody who knew apart from Museveni what was going to happen and those that he asked to go to Parliament.
Maybe Sabiti, because we saw him.
Gentlemen, we have to give our final parting words. So
solutions. Okay, fine. My parting words.
Yes.
Do I give it now?
Given that you might squeeze into everyone's time.
Okay, let me come last.
I'll say something here.
Yes.
What I've always said is instead I'm not a political animal. But
you are, every man is.
I'm not, maybe my home or whatever, yes. Yeah. What I'm trying to say is that I always want to look at things in a mirror of security. And of course, we have issues. In my own mind, I blame the government, I blame I blame the opposition.
Including blame the citizens.
You know, our opposition here in Uganda, I think maybe that's why they are minimized. Because they have not come up with even a small clinic.
But I guess you do agree they might also have had a part to play in all of this. Even if Honorable has refused to say yes to that.
Exactly. Me, I still even think, you know, in investigation, in spying, we are supposed to dream. Me, I believe that at a certain stage they could bribe policemen to overhandle the general public for purposes of their gain. That can also be. I'm not saying that this may be the right thing. Because I could see guys going into Ovajia.
They are only not mishandling.
And what the opposition does not disclose is how much money they get abroad and what they use
thanks to the beating.
Then how much does government get abroad?
I don't know. Maybe the government
from abroad.
Exactly. What I want to see, I want some opposition that comes up with maybe a small project, even if it was a hospital. They say, this is a hospital built by.
I want to give a
guess. I want to give
a guess my salary and beat him with
I guess were those your parting shots?
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, let's go to
I'll give you my salary and beat you every day and see whether you'll take it.
Let's let him.
I'm really, in this whole thing, I'm interested in the big picture.
Yes.
And for me, the big picture is that we're at a tangent where there is some hope. And why? I'm looking at this more from the perspective that the underlying factors at the time have dictated the need of this transformation. And now that we have the people we have, for we as researchers would be much more interested in seeing a full picture. And in this full picture, what we want to see.
Yes.
Because the security architecture operates within a particular ecosystem. It is not. It's not a linear kind of thing. So the leadership of the General Kaihura, his nemesis, or so to speak, are but part of the factors. There are other variables. And I think these variables, one of the key ones that the incoming people need to pay attention to is the question of the seemingly a dislocation of communication between the police and the public. Because the police, being the front line force to provide safety, public safety and security, most of its intelligence is sort of processed from within people, because the kind of threats they deal with are societal in nature.
Yes.
So that confidence, if it is true, it has run away.
It should.
Then Ochola and Sabiti
on the agenda. That should definitely be.
That's a carte blanche on their agenda.
I hear you. We're pressed for time, by the way. It's only 3 minutes, so Pulkol, you have to be mindful of
no, let him speak.
I think we're safer
I can finish the time. You see, in all these, and I have asked many people, including elders, to go and speak to President Museveni, not to go down with the country. Let me tell you, it doesn't matter who is going to become the IGP or Army commander tomorrow. The moment the instructions remain the same, the results are going to be the same. All these fellows are not bad, but they are under pressure to do certain things, and they'll do them the same way. So my prayer, people who are watching NTV and you have the ear of the president, please speak to him. And I told him when I had an opportunity, please, you remember when Uganda was a project, now you became the project. The moment police becomes a tool of operation for a sitting leader, it doesn't matter whether that police is in Uganda, whether it is in Kenya, you're going to have the same results. It will be brutal. I wrote about militarization, and Kaihura was very angry. He called me for 30 minutes quarreling with me, because he migrated with the majors, they became directors in the police. Don't think that Mzee Sabit is going to go alone. The next thing you'll hear is that some majors are going to reinforce because police doesn't have this and that. So we can only cry for strengthening, first of all, creating institutions and strengthening them. And I hope if anyone wants to speak to Museveni on my behalf, just ask him not to go down with this country.
If I was among the
It's only 1 minute. He's eaten into your time, but your party.
Well, you allowed it. It was a
Let's go.
So if I were in their shoes, what would I do within the first 1 month in terms of moving around the country while you're facilitating those who are handling the current crimes, okay? While you are gathering views within you speak to the police rank and file from as far as throughout the country, as well as listen to the public. When you're visiting those places, please invite certain influential publics to sit with you and let them know, then you factor, so that within 1 month, they should be able to come with their strategic plan, how they're going to take the force forward. Secondly, I would ask the appointing authority to do a forensic audit on the police force, because at the moment it is, I've said before that it is a person suffering from multiple organs failure. How they are going to arrest the kidney, the liver, the heart, and so forth, because the head of narcotics arrested. The head of land something is under investigation. The one, the flying squad, arrested. So and so, all the critical departments are arrested. So they're manned by suspects. Now, that is a failure. Now, what I would like to do is like a Sebutende commission. It needs a whole commission to bring outsiders there and then see what kind of surgical reforms, including the Commonwealth report on the police, including Sebutende report. There are many reports that needs to be visited. And then you give us a police service, okay, which can service Uganda's democracy, not service the individual. But, of course, again, the appointing authority, he has a lot to do here. Whether he wants or not, you can also move that motion in Parliament for a commission of inquiry, surgical.
You want them to come and again?
Let them do so. Now, finally, okay, finally, I think citizens, let's give the benefit of doubt to the individuals that are
more than 100 days, as you suggested.
I hear you, but you see, if you cannot show the direction and do not show anything, then you will never do anything, even if you have 360 whatever days. So their job is now to see what are those low cost, high impact actions they need to take that can produce success, which can produce more success. So that's what I would advise them to do.
Thank you so much. I was joined this evening by Dr. Tolit Atia, who's a security analyst, Freddie Egesa, who's a private investigator, David Pulko, former External Security Organization Director General, and of course, Honorable Samu Junganda. There'll be a longer discussion, I guess, on the appointing office. I think that's a whole other discussion. So today was just about the three.
Women's Day, Ojama.
You didn't even say Happy Women's Day, so let's let it go. No, let's let it go.
It's not acceptable.
Flavia Tumsime, I've been sitting in for Patrick Amara, a special for International Women's Day.
International Day.
No. You did not say Happy Women's Day.
I don't know about other days, but I'm happy to see a woman steering this discussion.
Thank you.
What about the other days? They belong to
I don't know.
We'll work on getting more days than just one.
Yeah.
So
Thank
we've
you so
given you a
much.
second
Mothers
one.
Have a
and
good
mothers in
night.
Jeremiah, yeah.